Well, that was not soft dirt. Ooh. Thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of A Few Mo Minutes. I'm Mo, and I've put together a list of 10 of the boneheaded mistakes I've made while running ultramarathons. I had fun shooting this, so I'll probably do a few more videos. You'll have to bear with me. This is the first video I've ever actually shot and edited, other than the video I made with my daughter about her guinea pig. Each video I'll cover some sort of specific topic or a list, and then I'll give a quick update on what I've been up to and what I've been training for, if anyone cares. Now keep in mind, everything I talk about is based on my own experiences. I'm not a coach, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a personal trainer, I'm not even very smart. I'm just a guy who likes to get out of the house. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Any advice I give, feel free to disregard it altogether. All right, before we get started, a quick word from our sponsors. All right, let's get going. So why am I out here running around in the woods? What am I training for? The same two things as everyone else. Jack and shit. Everything's canceled. Some of the races are still being put on, mainly in the US. All the ones that I'd been planning on are out the window. I just can't get into any of these virtual races, so I've been kind of just running around all summer for nothing. So with nothing on the calendar this year, I was grateful that a fellow runner I know hosted an event last Saturday. He's got a big piece of property and he has an 800-meter loop trail behind his place. So about 10 of us ran around his loop all day. You had to bring all your own supplies. It was bring your own water, but he was handing out beer. That's my kind of event. It was great to see some fellow runners I hadn't seen in a while, and I wound up running around in circles for 50 miles. A little rough. I hadn't done a lot of long runs this summer with no events on the horizon. Though without running events this summer, it gave me time to focus on other areas, like building my backyard gym.
What is that?
It's for the gym. Yep, that was a rusty boat trailer axle with the wheels still attached. I'll detail that in another episode. I still got some decent runs in, pretty much incident-free. First wipeout, 5 minutes in. First time I've worn this shirt. I was running by a tree and caught it on something. Some kind of nails for surveying the trees or something. It was a nice shirt for 1 hour. Yes, I'm on the ground. Okay. Left shoe, right shoe. Come on, Ultra. You know what? I should probably go get that. So what do you do when your current brand of shoe rips apart on you again? New shoes. Yes, that's the exact same shoe, but they changed the color, so I'm sure it won't rip apart on me this time. All right, enough of my rambling. Here's 10 of the stupidest mistakes that I've made at ultramarathons. Enjoy. When I say study the course map, I mean the actual route. Obviously, you're going to study every aspect of the course, all the climbs, the technical sections, water crossings. You can study that stuff till the cows come home, and you should. But I'm referring to the actual route. For one race, I printed out a map 5 feet high and put it on my living room wall. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. Didn't help. I got lost. I like to blame it on other factors. The race was at 10,000 feet. I got altitude sickness, pulmonary edema. I had fluid in my lungs. I was lightheaded. Or maybe I should have gone with the floor-to-ceiling map. The only other time the outcome was really affected in a race for me was actually on a looped course. I screwed up the start of the second loop, wound up going 6 miles, still on the course, but not where I was supposed to be. I found a 4-mile route back to where I'd gone off course, so I added 10 miles to the race. In the end, that was okay. Everyone else did 100 miles that day, I did 110. Sometimes it pays to be a moron.
Imagine it's mid-January. You're out for a run. It's usually crappy and cold, but this time
you're in beautiful Hawaii, running through a rainforest. The sun is shining. You can hear the birds, the waterfalls. It's early afternoon, and you're wearing your headlamp.
aloha. It's 1:30 p.m. on a hot sunny day in Hawaii, and I'm wearing my headlamp. In my defense, this was my first 100, and I really didn't know what I was doing or where to pack and put things. I was trying to pick it up in a drop bag just before dusk, so really I just timed it one drop bag too early. Now the problem was I had nowhere to put it. I was using a belt at the time, which has 2 pockets on the front. Used to have 2 pockets on the front. It came with 1 pocket on the rear, and that was enough room for all of my munchies, electrolytes, really anything I needed to bring. I don't remember what else. Souvenirs, who knows. But that didn't leave any room to put this guy. So in order to carry it, I could either wear it on my head or shove it up my ass. So I put it on at 1:30. I wore it the rest of the afternoon, overnight. I had to wear it until I got to an aid station after dawn the next morning. So I wore it for about 18 hours. Left a welt on my head for about a week. Still hurts a little.
Races will always have lots of information on their website to help with crew planning. A lot of the races will even have crew meetings prior to the race to help provide lots of information and answer questions, which can really help with logistics and planning of the race for your crew. My wife was crewing for me, and the first time she was supposed to meet me was at the aid station at mile 30. I got there and she wasn't there. Not a big deal because she was going to meet me at the mile 38 aid station. I get there, again, she is nowhere to be found. Now I keep referring to her as my wife. Technically, she's still my girlfriend at this time. So our future life together is not looking too good at this point. Had we done our research, we would have known that she should have left earlier to get to the aid station at mile 30. What we also would have found out is that it is physically not possible to be at mile 30 aid station and have the same crew get to mile 38. The way to get there takes way longer than it does to even run. She did meet me at the mile 55 aid station, so all was well. Turns out she did miss another aid station later in the race at mile 78. Now technically that one was in the middle of the night, so I told her that she didn't have to meet me there. I was being rhetorical, I was just trying to be nice. She skipped it and had a nice sleep. So that was the last time she crewed for me. I still married her though. A topic that can either be really painful or really fun. Lube. One of the worst ways to end a race is by having chafing so bad that you can't go on. Near the end of a 24-hour race, my chafing was so bad that I had to stop. Still had an hour or something left to go, but I'd reached my distance goal by walking the last loop because I couldn't run anymore. It was really hot that day, so I kept pouring water down my back, which just leaked down into some special places, causing some chafing. And so by the end of the race, I couldn't take it anymore. The worst case of chafing that I know of is a buddy of mine who had to finish the race carrying his balls in his hand. Good thing they weren't very heavy. Sorry, Chris. I prefer to carry anything essential with me if I can. Things like a small light, I'll carry my pack right from the beginning. If a race requires trekking poles, I'll usually carry them right from the start so I don't have to worry about getting them later. I don't want to miss my crew somewhere then when I was expecting an item that I really need, or perhaps leave it in a drop bag and I forget to get it out of the drop bag. So I'll just carry things with me. At one race where my wife was crewing for me, I had her carry the Advil. because Advil's so heavy. She was supposed to meet me at mile 78, but that one was optional, so I knew there was a chance she wouldn't be there. Anyway, I really needed some Advil by then. The aid station wouldn't give it to me without doing a medical checkup. I had to wait for the doctor, so there was no point in doing that. I just had to get going. So I had to wait for our next meetup, which was at mile 93. You can see my excitement to see her right here.
Good job.
Lesson learned. Now I always have a few in my pack in case I need to take one later in the race. Two things I keep stocked for races: gels and salt pills. One night I checked my gels right before a 50-mile race, and I had 3 gels in the box. I knew I had a box, I just didn't know how many were in there. Too late to buy any more, obviously, so no problem. I figured I'll just try the gels they're going to hand out at the race, no big deal. The gels they were handing out were these really fruity ones that I didn't like at all, so I decided to conduct a little experiment and just have fruit and water for the rest of the race. I had mostly oranges, watermelon, bananas, and water and ice. You know how many calories are in watermelon? Like 2? I don't know, actually. It was a really hot day. Bad idea. I cramped up horribly. I felt really nauseous from all the water and ice sloshing around in my stomach. Experiment failed. Oh, it was a bad day. So everyone knows you never try out new gear, clothing, or equipment at a race. You can get away with it in a shorter race, but in a longer race, you gotta make sure everything's tested. Your hydration packs, poles, headlamps, clothing, everything. The main one being shoes, which I learned the hard way. After going through 7 pairs of the same shoe, they changed the cushioning on the heel and I couldn't wear them anymore. I got bad blisters right away. So I searched around trying to find another replacement shoe. I found one that I thought would work, and I actually used it for a while, a lot of training runs. I even used it in a shorter race. Had some hot spots, but I thought it would be okay. I had a 100-mile race coming up, pretty technical, in the Appalachians in Virginia, and it was a disaster. After about 50 miles, the blisters got so bad. All the little hot spots I had during training had just compounded and gotten much worse, so I should have known that was gonna happen. I did leave an old pair of one of my other shoes in a drop bag at mile 65, so I was able to swap them out then, but the damage was already done. The only issue I've had with new clothing at a race was actually at the Bahamas Marathon. I was there with a group that was sponsored by the Bahamas Tourism Board, and so they made us wear these sponsor shirts. And these raspberries. These were thick cotton shirts with a tight collar. Not ideal for running in the Bahamas heat. By the end of the race, I had a cut across my neck from the collar. My nipples were bleeding. It was a bad scene. All of the equipment and gear that you use is going to wear out and eventually need to be replaced. Some faster than others. Number 1 on the list, shoes. Typically the treads will wear out first along with the cushioning, and then you're going to want to look at getting new shoes, but sometimes there's a lot of other factors. If you can fit a finger through a hole in your shoe, just keep going. 2 fingers, maybe it's time for some new shoes. Hydration systems, typically a pack. These guys will last a while. Some of mine I've had for a few years. This one I had to use at a long mountain race that was very remote, so it had a ton of mandatory gear that was required, and it was literally busting at the seams, and it pretty much ripped apart during the race. Once you can fit body parts through any holes that aren't supposed to be there, maybe it's time for a new pack. Now sometimes things don't just wear out, it's your own damn fault. Trekking poles. Last year it had a mountain race that I needed my poles for in the spring, and when I took them out of storage from the winter, the pin that pops out to lock out the pole wouldn't come out on one of the poles. So I took a screwdriver to it and broke it off, and it fell inside the pole. So I had to find a way to keep the pole locked out. So what I did, instead of getting some new poles for this race, I took a piece of metal, put it on a string, and put that in the hole. It worked pretty well for some training runs, so I thought I would be okay. But during the race early on, it kept popping out. And so around the second aid station, I asked for some tape, and then I just wrapped some tape right around it to keep it in.
And it worked great, but the downside was now I was going to have to run with my poles locked out for the next 90 miles. If it had been a race with more flat sections, that would have been a pain in the ass, but this one was 31,000 feet of climb and descent, so really you were going to have your poles out the whole time anyway. So it turned out not to be a big deal. Probably should have replaced them before the race, but I thought that would work. If my wife or Santa is watching, I do still need some new poles. Black Diamond 110 centimeter carbon distance Z poles, or for all you Americans, Z poles. Santa will know what they are.
When I say secure your shit, I'm not talking about burying and hiding your poop. I'm talking about securing all your stuff, make sure your pack is sealed, zippers closed, all that fun stuff. I was at a race where I was about 30 miles into a 50 miler and somebody yelled out from behind me asking if I'm from Ontario. Thought that was weird, so I said, yeah, why? And he had my driver's license. I had brought it that morning to check in and I guess dropped it along the way. Well, good thing he found it for me. We actually wound up running together for quite a while. He was a nice guy. I don't remember his name or where he was from or what he looked like, but I think he was a nice guy. As soon as you sign up for a race, you receive that lovely confirmation email. Mentally, as soon as I get that, all right, I'm all good. Check it. Last year I signed up for a 50K race. Got my confirmation, like usual. All good, right? Well, a few weeks before the race, I logged in to see if I knew anyone else who was going to be there, and I didn't see my name. So I scrolled through, wasn't under 50K, so I thought maybe I picked the wrong distance. So I did a search, and then it came up. There it is. Participant, Morgan Schick. Category, vegetarian chili. I selected vegetarian chili for my post-race meal. I heard it's actually very good at this race. And I guess that's all that I signed up for. So I went back in, signed up for the 50K, and I even registered for the vegetarian chili again, just to make sure I get it. Of course, then I go run the race and they're all out of vegetarian chili at the finish. Another registration issue I had was again at the good old Bahamas Marathon. We'd signed up as a group, so I didn't actually do the registration. Anyway, after the race, which I did not do well, I was extremely hungover, and someone comes over to me and gives me an award for third place in my age group, 35 to 39. So I looked down at my bib. Yep, F37. I'd won third place in my age group, female. I thought about keeping the award just for fun, but somebody else deserved it, I guess. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It went a little long. In the future, I'll trim it down so you'll have time to watch it on the toilet. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Like, subscribe, send me an appletini. I don't know how all this stuff works. Keep an eye out for future videos. I'm not sure how soon I'll get to them, but I'll get something else out there eventually. I'll get lost.